Hello, everybody. We're back to talk about the Death Battle Season 9 premiere, Jinx versus Harley Quinn, our first new character franchise in Death Battle, and it's with a franchise that I have not gotten myself invested in fully, only in its supplemental material that may or may not be considered canon. So, let's just go ahead and shake off the rust and get the introductions out of the way. I am, of course, Saber King, and with me today is my editor slash best friend, Sean.
Hello, it's good to be back for this crazy explosive fight, and I'm glad that I've only slightly heard of Arcane because from what I've seen, it looks actually really good.
Oh, yeah, no, if there's anything you need to take away from this review and from Death Battle in general, is go watch Arcane. It is fan-fucking-tastic. It's as good as everyone says it is, and I really hope that a lot of people get invested in that because to be told, because truth of the matter is, I am not that big in playing League of Legends. It just doesn't appeal to me, but Arcane is a good supplement, so I will take that. So, yes, please go watch Arcane. It's fantastic. But,
Yeah,
but all right. So, let's go ahead and talk about the episode. So it's been a hot minute, so here's how we're going to do it. Like we always have, we're just going to discuss the animation, voice acting, music, and thoughts on the winner and such, and talk a little bit about the tease. But we are basically going to just go one at a time, so that way it's much easier because I know not everybody's going to watch this full thing. All right, so I like this episode. I don't love it, but I like it. It's not a great season premiere compared to Yoda versus King Mickey. There's no way it was going to meet those expectations. Let's be frank. It's impossible.
mm,
But I will say that this is hands down better than the season 1 premiere, and the season 5 premiere, and the season 6 premiere. If it can be better than those three premieres, then it's already on its way to be a good episode. So yes, I enjoyed everything. The music was the only part that was a little underwhelming to me. But to be fair, that's because Brandon didn't release the track before it came out, so I have not heard it as is meant to be listened to on its own. But it did do wonders in the fight whenever the vocals kicked in. Voice acting was also pretty good too. I enjoyed the return of Elsie Lovelock. It was so fucking weird that it took 5 years for them to bring her back, and she's playing another video game character franchise that I'm not that big into. And of course, the actress who played Harley Quinn, whose name I did not have time to look up. So, Sean, if you know, please tell me.
I'm gonna take a look at that real quick while you talk about her performance.
Okay, thank you. She was immediately much better at Harley Quinn than I thought she would be. She did have a little bit of Tara Strong in her performance, but it wasn't super nails to a chalkboard, Tara Strong, ear piercing. She very much kept it subdued, and I really got invested in her performance the more and more I listened. There were some great comedic bits in here as well with Harley that I was very surprised at, that I got a chuckle out of. So I enjoyed her performance, and like with all new actors, I hope that she does come back to do some more performances for Death Battle because she left quite an interesting impression on me.
Yeah, uh, she doesn't have her full name on her Twitter, but her name is Felicia, and you guys can follow her on Twitter at Felicia Voices.
Okay.
That is the voice of Harley Quinn.
Okay. Well, Miss Felicia, if you're watching this, you did a great job, and I like your performance, so thank you. Um, but yes, and the main thing, the animation. This is done by the Blender team, or as Sean trademarked called it, the Dad team, with a little help from some people in Rooster Teeth. So this was kind of a joint effort. I think this animation is fantastic. It's much better than Shao Kahn versus Akuma, which was the last fight they did, and it did. I also love how they made proper use of the cell shading for this one. It did. It looked very good. And Harley's model, I don't know if anybody know this, but Harley's model was completely custom made for this fight because her face is an exact copy of how Harley Quinn appears in the Harley Quinn show.
I was gonna say like the models look fantastic. It's
Yeah,
just insane how much time they put into those.
yeah, no, absolutely. So yeah, overall, I liked this fight. I don't love it, but I think that's just because, again, there is that season 8 premiere kind of expectations, and unfortunately, this just couldn't meet those. But I will say, overall, I think the more and more I watch this fight, the more and more it'll grow on me. So I'm gonna tag you in, Sean. What'd you think?
This fight and season premiere is probably my second favorite premiere of Death Battle ever,
Oh, that's
right
good.
behind Dante versus Bayonetta because it had the chaos and the comedy blended together very well.
Oh yeah.
I was laughing so much at certain scenes, like the carousel like chasing kind of deal,
Yes.
where Jinx is just found by confetti and Harley's just station. That is funny, and that needs to be a gift now.
I would say the Groucho Marx mask got a light bit. That floored me.
Yeah, it's just like the way these two even interacted too, like with the fishbones puppet and got a light bit. Those were fantastic.
Absolutely.
And the models were, like I said earlier, they were fantastic looking. Like especially the Jinx model, I'm just like, wow, that looks really good.
Oh yeah, no, and props to them for using her League of Legends model and not the Arcane one, even though I think the Arcane one would have been difficult to find, because I think they just use the simplest models they can find for these characters.
Which isn't a bad thing, and it works well with the environment, which gave me Joker playground vibes.
Oh yeah, and I didn't even get to mention that, but I'm glad you brought it up. There's a surprising amount of callbacks that feel like they were improved upon from Joker versus Sweet Tooth.
Yeah, and plus the biggest downside to Akuma versus Shao Kahn was its environment, and they stepped it up with this environment.
Yes, absolutely. This couldn't have been more of a perfect environment for them to use for these two.
But the chaos and like the different ways they made the attraction work, whether it was the roller coaster, the carousel, the mirror maze,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then teleporting to different dimensions, that was also pretty good. I didn't expect that.
like this picture we have on screen.
Like
Gee,
this picture.
like I saw it like the first time I saw it, and I'm just like, is that? No, and then dive deeper. It's like, oh yeah, it is. Holy crap!
Yeah, no, absolutely. Oh man, it's like there were so many other Death Battle Easter eggs besides this one that I didn't even know. So, again, props to your only mate who really dived deep into looking for these. I never would have expected this.
Yeah, and the voice acting. I'll touch on this real quick. I thought it was really, really good. Like your friend, I'm afraid I'm gonna butcher her name, like Elisa,
Elsie.
Elsie. Like coming from Tracer and going into Jinx, like I could not tell that was the same person.
No, me neither. She's very versatile, and I could not hear any trace of her voice. Well, again, Tracer was her actual voice that she used, but she just exaggerated it a bit. But here, it's like, yeah, I couldn't tell that was Elsie. I legit forgot who was who.
That's because like Tracer has the British accent, of course, and Jinx doesn't really
Absolutely,
have that, so she was able to hide that accent really well with the Jinx voice.
absolutely.
And Felicia as Harley was really, really good. Yeah, it was kind. Of, it gave me the Tara Strong vibes, but also a little bit of the Harley Quinn show like tone.
Yeah, yeah, I got that too.
Felicia did a really knockout job with Harley.
Absolutely. Again, I really want to see her come back and do more roles in Death Battle.
I mean, depending on what the fight is, and if Marissa thinks that Felicia's good for it, then I could definitely see that.
Absolutely, absolutely.
There's just so much going on in this fight. Like you can get so many like screenshots and like little gifs from this fight alone. They went all out with this one, and this fight had no right to be as good as it is.
I can agree to that, yes. For Billy's directorial debut episode, it's definitely worth something. It's worth checking out again and again, and I feel like it's a good start. So hopefully, when he comes back and does another episode, it'll be even more bonkers than this one. But yeah, props to them for choosing this as the season premiere and really going all out because again, that's the best way you can match King Mickey versus Yoda is match how far and how hard you went for the animation portion.
Yeah, and honestly, the special effects of the explosions is really cool, and the way they handled the death towards the end, like it's just like, oh my god, this person's about to win. Oh my god, this person's gonna win. And the callback to Joker versus Sweet Tooth at the end was a really, really clever touch.
It was, yes, but unfortunately for Harley, didn't work on Jinx. So yeah, that, a bit of a oopsie right there. But I appreciated that callback. It really did feel like this episode took elements of Joker versus Sweet Tooth and Tracer versus Scout and just mixed them together.
How dare you mention Tracer versus Scout?
Ah, yes, how dare I?
I, but no, like it definitely felt like Joker versus Sweet Tooth, and the main difference is Jinx not dumb as needles.
Correct. And Jinx actually got a booster from the Joker Venom, unlike Sweet Tooth.
And plus, this was more ground combat compared to car combat.
Yeah, I like that. I prefer the more grounded style approach. Again, I feel like this team needs more time to really achieve what the script and storyboards are calling for. So I'm happy that they somewhat got that here because again, Akuma versus Shao Kahn is and Batgirl versus Spider Gwen, they unfortunately just painted the picture that unless they are allowed more time, we're just gonna get something that's not great. That's barely good too. So again, props to them for actually getting the time and effort they needed for this one.
And my thoughts on the soundtrack, real quick. It's a really good soundtrack. It works so well with the fight, and I'm pretty sure it might come out today because with Brandon, like he tries to get it out, but I'm pretty sure he puts it on private so this way people don't spoil it.
That's
It's
fair.
just a smart call.
That's fair. And again, I know the soundtrack was a little bit underwhelming to me in the fight, but that's just because there's so much going on. So really, I couldn't take it in as I would like to. But when it comes out on its own, I will definitely give it a listen to, and we'll see what I think of it then.
By the way, I'm just gonna say it here in case your buddy Biff forgets to mention it in his review. But Brandon was hyping up the guest vocalist, whose name is Urukuchi Mana.
Oh, nice. Yes.
I don't know her username, but she's apparently on the Death Battle Discord. So, and that was the guest vocalist they got for this track, and that was something that Brandon's been hyping up since the track got shown in the preview.
Well, I would say that she provided some great guest vocals, and I really thought that they fit well with these two characters.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear the soundtrack on its own. With the fight, it's really good.
Yeah, I think now just the better question is, where would you rank this in terms of season premieres?
Uh, this is the second best for me just because it blends the chaos of a fight and the comedy of it really well. Not quite as good as Dante versus Bayonetta, even though that is age, but I would say that this comes close.
I can somewhat have similar opinions on that. I would say it's maybe number three for me. So it definitely is in that hierarchy. Number one is obviously Yoda versus King Mickey. Number two, Dante versus I'm sorry, excuse me, not Dante versus Bayonetta. That's technically number four. Number two is He-Man versus Lino, and then there's this. But it to me, in my personal opinion, is better than Dante versus Bayonetta, just because I feel like again different animation style and a lot more tight focus. So yeah, no, but it's definitely worth a watch. I'm very happy with how this turned out.
All right. I do want to touch on the outcome a little bit because people are talking about it a lot.
Sure.
Um, do you agree with Jinx winning? First of all, I'm going to ask you that right now.
Obviously, yes, I do. They laid it out pretty good. They did bring back the stats from season one, so I was very surprised they did that. But I feel like they should have added a little bit more advantages to Harley other than the healing factor. But yeah, no. Via scaling, Jinx was pretty much outclassing Harley all day. But then again, I can see the argument being made. Oh well, because League of Legends is kind of a mystery. It doesn't have that much lore on Jinx. Even Arcane isn't completely canon. So I can understand the frustration in that. But
I,
at the end of the day, I agree with it.
I think it's fair with how they handled scaling this time around. Like, when I forgot her name, but the Warlock chick with who blasted the rocks,
Hmm.
like showing that the direct comparison of a rocket and that attack hitting the same target was a good idea to show off that the comparison was valid.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I got messaged about was the weakest part was explaining why Joker Venom didn't exactly work. It's in a black box, but I felt like if they included that black box info, it would have came out better.
I can agree to that, yes. I feel like maybe they should have actually done that in the recording instead of just having it in the black box because again, that was literally what people were counting on is, oh, okay, if Joker Venom is involved, then Harley wins. But it's like, well, if you actually play League of Legends or if you watch Arcane, Jinx is immune to those toxins. She basically gets a high off of those toxins.
Well, the Zon thing is still like questionable to me, but like the Sash argument I can buy, and the black box argument I can also buy.
Yeah.
I think that's like the only like major flaw was the post analysis for just the Joker Venom in general. Because they
Okay.
didn't even explain it that well in the Harley analysis, just like how insanely ridiculous the Joker Venom is.
Well, I think they're expecting people who have watched Joker versus Sweet Tooth to already know how insane the Joker Venom is.
I don't mind them doing like a refresher for it though, since that episode came out. Was it season 4 or season 3?
It was season three.
Yeah, because like it's been like 5, 6 years since that episode came out. Having a little bit of a refresher from that time period would have been more beneficial.
I can agree to that, BS. I think that would have been more appropriate.
But I agree with this outcome too. Like, it's a surprising outcome a little bit just because of the general consensus of DC be bonkers.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there you have it, folks. That's pretty much what we think about the episode. Again, a good start. If they can keep that up for this season, maybe it can be another worthy successor. Because we've had some ups and downs, but we'll see where this season goes. But well, we're moving on from one DC character to another, and it's the teased fight. It's another teased fight that we saw. So we have actually no, it's not another tease fight. Excuse me. Still waking up. It is the first tease fight that we saw, and that is Scarlet Witch versus Atana.
I think what you meant was it's another T's character. That's what you meant.
Yes, thank you. Tease.
How bewitching that you're still so tired.
But this one's gonna be crazy. I think the best way to sum this fight up is this is essentially gonna be Doctor Strange versus Doctor Fate 2.0, but with chicks.
And that's the consensus I hear about this one. Is like that's going to be the case.
Yes.
And like I remember first watching Doctor Strange versus Doctor Fate and was just surprised how absurd Doctor Fate was because like he doesn't get utilized that much.
No, of course not.
And like Zatanna's comparable to Fate, but I don't know just to what extent.
I don't know either. Zatanna is one of those characters that I'm familiar with, but I'm not that invested in lore wise, so I'm pretty much going to be learning about this stuff as we go along as well.
And then there's Scarlet Witch, who I feel like has gotten a lot more popular because of WandaVision and the Avengers stuff as of late.
Exactly. But yeah, we'll see how that goes and if it can stick the landing, if DC can regain the winning streak, or is Marvel gonna tie it all up?
Weren't they tied after Batman versus Iron Man?
Actually, yeah, no, you're right. They were tired. Excuse me. Again, tired. Get off my back. Um, it's
That's
literally
why
gonna
I'm
be,
here.
yes, that is why he's here. It's gonna be the tiebreaker. Will DC take it or will Marvel take it? You'll have to wait and find out.
Yeah, we do. I'm just looking forward to see how it looks with all the magic effects.
Me too. Me too. But alright then, guys. That's pretty much going to call it, and we're going to go ahead and sign off. We hope you enjoyed this. Again, sorry for the long length, but I really enjoy going this in depth about it. So definitely let us know what you thought down below. If you managed to make it past 5 minutes, then awesome. But either way, we're just happy Death Battle is back, and we've got some stuff to talk about with it. So we're gonna go ahead and catch you guys later. So I'm Saber King. I'll see you later.
Goodbye, everybody.
Later.